A deadly toxic fog swept over a small town in western Pennsylvania. Over just a few short days, many became ill and several perished. This bizarre situation happened quickly and without warning, and had devastating immediate and lasting damages. What was the cause of this horrible disaster? On Wednesday, October 27th, 1948, a mysterious yellow fog began accumulating in the mill town of Donora, Pennsylvania, just 24 miles outside of the Steel City of Pittsburgh. The dense smog was immediately a nuisance, rendering the city's visibility to nearly zero, with citizens unable to see what was directly in front of their faces. Driving was made essentially impossible, and the Donora Halloween parade may as well have been invisible due to the thick fog. By the second day, people in Donora began experiencing respiratory illness, such as coughing and shortness of breath. Doctors urged those who had pre-existing medical conditions to evacuate the town, but the lack of visibility made travel impossible, effectively trapping the town's residents. By Saturday, the fog officially went from being a nuisance to deadly, as the first victim of the Donora death fog was claimed. Beginning on Friday, doctors from the Donora Health Association began making house calls to assist those who were experiencing severe issues from the fog, but the demand for medical attention was too great. These 8 physicians could not keep up. Cora Vernon, the executive director of the American Red Cross, stepped up to direct phone calls for medical treatment to an emergency center that had been established to deal with the town's unexpected plight, and Donora Fire Department Chief John Volk and his assistant Russell Davis also made house calls, bringing much-needed oxygen to those suffering. In just a few short days, they depleted the city's entire supply of oxygen, 800 cubic feet, and had to borrow supplies from surrounding cities. The selfless and heroic Chief Volk is quoted as saying, "I didn't take any myself. What I did every time I came back to the station was have a little shot of whiskey." Fortunately, the noxious vapor that plagued the city for 5 days cleared up on Halloween Day thanks to rain. Still, 20 people died during that weekend as a direct result of the Donora death fog. It all happened so quickly. Hospitals overflowed. The town ran out of coffins and had to use its community center for a makeshift morgue. So why did this happen? It was determined that it was caused by a disastrous combination of pollution from U.S. Steel's Donora Zinc Works and the American Steel and Wire Plant, and a fairly rare meteorological event known as a temperature inversion. Under normal atmospheric conditions, temperature decreases with altitude, so air temperature at the surface will be warmer than air temperature at higher altitudes. During a temperature inversion, this paradigm flips. The air temperature higher in the atmosphere becomes warmer than the air near the ground, creating an atmospheric lid on the cooler air below. This can cause air pollution to become trapped at the Earth's surface. The pollution from the nearby plants trapped sulfuric acid, nitrogen dioxide, fluorine, and other deadly gases, heavy metals, and fine particulate matter directly on top of Donora. In fact, this phenomenon is exactly what happened during the Great Smog of London just 4 years later, which claimed the lives of roughly 4,000 people. Research following the event determined that if it had not rained on that Sunday, October 31st, 1948, the death toll would have likely been over 1,000 instead of the comparatively low 20. 1,000 is a significant number of casualties, no matter the context of the disaster, but this is especially alarming in a city of only 14,000 residents. Sadly, the trouble did not end when the pollution cleared. In the month following the incident, another 50 residents died from resulting respiratory illness, increasing the death toll to 70 in total. Due to the economy and culture of the western Pennsylvania town being thoroughly intertwined with the production of steel, there was initially a resistance to assigning blame to the steel mills. This was in large part because much of the town council were executives and supervisors at the very mills that caused the issue. Because of this, and despite the calls from local physicians to do so, the plants did not halt their operations until Sunday, the day the pollution was cleared by the rain, and they swiftly restarted production the following morning. The United States Public Health Service did send 25 investigators to Donora following the event. Their research found that of the city's 14,000 residents, between 5,000 and 6,000 of them suffered moderate to severe symptoms from the smog event. That's nearly 40% of the town's entire population. Referring to the people affected by the 1948 Donora smog, Devra Davis, founder of Environmental Health Trust, revealed if you looked at the X-rays of their lungs, they looked like the survivors of poison gas warfare. Still, U.S. Steel rejected responsibility, claiming the event was an act of God. They settled a lawsuit involving 80 victims with a meager payout of $251,000 in 1951, an amount which equals roughly $2.7 million in 2022. This settlement was only 5% of the damages initially sought by the lawsuit and was only enough to just barely cover the legal fees incurred by the victims. U.S. Steel insisted that the event was caused by the rare weather event, and that blame should also be shared with pollution from homes, boats, automobiles, and railroads. They were willing to go to trial to defend this position. The Donora death fog is the worst air pollution event in the history of the United States. There are 70 deaths immediately attributable to the disaster, 20 which occurred during the event, and the additional 50 that occurred in the month following, but the effects extended well beyond that initial number. For example, the mortality rates in Donora over the ensuing 10 years after the smog incident were significantly higher than those in nearby Pennsylvania communities in the same time frame. There was, however, a silver lining to this awful situation. It sparked a discussion on the need to better manage pollution and paved way for the Air Pollution Control Act of 1955 and the Clean Air Act of 1963, both of which helped to regulate air pollution in the United States. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to my channel for more content like this. Hit the bell icon to get notifications when I release a new video. If you're interested in supporting Motive Horror and getting access to exclusive content and merchandise, use the link in the description to become a patron of my Patreon. Until next time.